I've got a BBL sensor. If within a mile of me there's a BBL, I can sense it and it goes off and it just distracts me. I might be working and everything will stop and I'll sense a BBL near me. This book, The Concise Laws, but more specifically, Mastering Your Biases. We're all horrible, judgmental, biased humans. All of us. Even you. Your pastor, your auntie at church, your mates, dad, your mate's uncle, your uncle's mates. We are all innately judgmental. What does that mean? It means within the first 6 seconds of meeting someone, you have a 6-second window. Within that window of meeting someone, you subconsciously we decide what they are. They might be rude, or they might be cool. They might want to speak to me. They might not want to speak to me. They might believe in this. They might believe in that. It's fine to have pessimistic stereotypes. We all have them, but be optimistic with the fact that it might change once you engage in conversation. And that's what I would say this book has taught me. This Robert Greene fella, he's got another book called 48 Laws of Power, which everyone reads. This is one of his books, which I think is criminally underrated. And if not better than the 48 Laws of Power. It's very small. Good things come in small packages. It's called The Concise Laws of Human Nature. And more specifically today, Mastering Your Biases. So you've got confirmation bias, conviction bias, appearance bias, group bias, blame bias, and superiority bias. What creates the drastic change in the way we treat each other and the way that we don't allow judgment to change our decision is understanding what biases that we have and why we have them. We imagine we are looking for the truth or being realistic, when in fact we are holding on to ideas that bring a release from tension and soothe our egos. If you believe that you are somehow immune to any of the following biases, it is simply an example of the pleasure principle in action, as well as learn how to identify such irrationality in others. That is beautiful. Understand our irrationalities. Why do we think certain things? The BBL thing's a bit of banter, but what happens is when you see someone with a BBL, or you see someone with some sort of cosmetic surgery, it's not just the cosmetic surgery that is making it obvious that they have it. It's the way they carry themselves. Certain insecurities they might portray in their body language, in the way that they're speaking, that you might be able to sense, you may have some cosmetic surgery. Unfortunate that people have been pushed to that place where they feel like they have to get some sort of surgery to get that validation from other people. And a lot of the time it speaks to a deeper issue. A lot of the time it speaks to lack of love, neglect, or love for the wrong thing. So love for their body. So confirmation bias is to hold an idea and convince ourselves we arrived at it rationally. We go in search of evidence to support our view. Confirmation bias. This happens a lot. If you've ever met someone that's so convinced of something, I know some of my friends are watching this and thinking, yeah, you. When you're so convinced of something, it can be easy to eradicate all other possibilities, all other options, and we hone in on this one thing that may or may not be right. And we find evidence to make that thing right. And if evidence pops up of the contrary, then we don't take it on board. Your first impulse should always be to find the evidence that this confirms your most cherished beliefs and those of others, which is an interesting way of looking at it. These beliefs that we hold so strongly to ourselves, instead of looking for evidence to believe in them, let's look at evidence to disprove them. During my salvation, as I try to give my life to God, I went in search of evidence to prove God. And you end up finding a lot. But on the opposite, I found out for myself how weak the evidence was to disprove Jesus, to disprove God. And because of that evidence being so weak, it pointed me in the direction of God. Instead of looking for the evidence for something, look for the evidence against it. Weigh up the both and then make your decisions. The next one, conviction bias. We hold on to an idea that is secretly pleasing to us, but deep inside we might have some doubts as to its truth. So we go an extra mile to convince ourselves. I think this points that if we have to externally show our conviction for something, then internally we must be struggling with the conviction of it. If someone come up to me and said, Alf, you can't do 20 keepy-ups with a football, it wouldn't bother me because I know I can. If someone come up to me and said, Alf, you can't shoot 5 basketball shots in a row, it would bother me because I know I flipping struggle with that. I probably can't. So then the need for, no, I can, and convincing yourself of it is higher. You don't need to convince yourself of something that you already know. So the conviction bias is an interesting one for people that have it, because it means that their belief is thin. It's wafer thin and it can be broken. Understand that if someone has a conviction bias, it's a wafer thin opinion, a wafer thin belief that can be broken. It can be shattered. I got dark. The next one, appearance bias. We see people not as they are, but as they appear to us. And these appearances are usually misleading. First, people have trained themselves in social situations to present the front that is appropriate, and that will be judged positively. Second, we are prone to fall for the halo effect. When we see certain negative or positive qualities in a person, bear with, other positive or negative qualities are implied that fit with this. An example of this that pops in my head straight away is, it's been weeks, I've turned up to church in my suit, I got my loafers on, I'm looking sharp. That week I sinned. And I think about how maybe the young people are looking at me in that church thinking, he's got it all sorted out, man. He's covered, he's good, he's on the journey, he's doing the right stuff. And they don't know the truth. You know what I mean? They don't understand it. Because on the surface level, the appearance is, everything's good. This guy's, he's got it. I find that interesting because how many people do we see on a daily basis and instantly we have that appearance bias? They look good, they must be doing good. They look bad, they must be doing bad. It works both ways. I know a CEO that drives a 2010, 2009 plate car. And I know some average guys driving about in some luxurious cars. That brother in a tracksuit and in a 2009 plate car, instantly appearance bias. He ain't got it like that. There's no way he's got it like that. And you see the brother in a nice car. Yeah, he must have it. He must have it sorted out. He must have it sorted out. But little do we know, the reality is the complete opposite. Allow the pessimism of your bias, but be optimistic with the fact it might change. I'll tell you why appearance bias is interesting. I'll tell you why appearance bias is interesting. I'm not just going to say me, all of us. If all of us were standing outside of a shop and you saw some granny with a trolley go in the shop, I mean, she was like waddling a little bit, really slow, unharmful, unassuming granny. And you see some 18-year-old youth go in the shop with his trousers down, I mean, doing a little bop. Instantly, and the security guards do this, instantly, they're going to go follow my man with his trousers down. Of course. And we look at that as racist. He's racist. No, he's not. You'd do the same if he was in his position. You'd do exactly the same if he was in their position. Why? Because we have a natural appearance bias based on evidence. It's more likely that my man's going to rob the shop than granny. But in an alternate reality, granny might rob that shop and my man might be going and paying and doing his thing. The young man that's gone in the shop with his trousers down might be going to pay and granny might be stealing. And if anything, it'd be easier for granny to steal because security man ain't got his eyes on her. Every single one of us have seen someone and thought, especially since learning combat, learning how to fight, you realize and you see how wrong your biases are, especially your appearance biases. I've gone into a gym as I've fought guys that are so unassuming. Like, if you saw them in the street, you wouldn't think twice. You'd look at them and be like, there's no way this man could rock with me. And they are savages. They are savages. They would fold you like a pretzel. These are like jiu-jitsu black belts. They'd fold you like a pretzel, keep you like that in some ching-wang lock. And I've seen man that look bad. They got all the arms. You know what I mean? They got the muscles. I've seen them man in the gym get punched up. I've seen it with my own eyes. Get rid of that appearance bias. Allow the pessimism of your bias, but have optimism that it might change. A lot of guys that look like they got it, ain't got it. And a lot of men that don't look like they got it. And I've seen it firsthand, and that has really challenged me to deepen my appearance bias. I still ain't come up with a slogan or something to say at the end. So please put in the comments a phrase or something I could just say at the end of videos. You know what I mean? Like a little outro. I still ain't got an outro. How have I still not got an outro? Guys, please help, man. Put some things in the comments. But yeah, God bless. Love, peace, and love.